is a hero? Google defines a hero as a person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. So what is your definition of a hero? Is it the treble 99 winners? Sir Alex Ferguson? Charlton, Law, and Best, the Holy Trinity? Or perhaps rat-ass Ronaldo? Or maybe somebody simple like your mom and your dad that you see every day that go out their way for you. Maybe it's a political leader or a community hero, maybe a community activist, somebody that brings joy to your life and meaning. Football over the years has developed its fair share of leaders, motivators, and trendsetters, heroes. But today I want to share the story of one trailblazer you probably don't know. Now take a look at my man right here. You ever seen this guy before? I mean, anywhere in the annals of United history. Have you ever seen him? Look, I'll give you a chance. We could pause the video. Give him a good look. Okay, nothing still? Alright, cool. Well, let me introduce you guys to Dennis Walker. Born at 28 Queen Street, Northwest Cheshire, on 26th of October 1944, to single mother Mary Walker. Mary Walker was a white Irish Catholic woman born in Limerick, and not much was known about Dennis's father until later on. Many years later, it would take Nadine Ali and his fourth wife Paula to determine that Dennis's father was Iranian of African heritage. African people were enslaved all over the world, but a lot were taken to the Persian Gulf, which declared slavery illegal just as recently as 1929. Like thousands of youth in the nation, Dennis would take to football, becoming very good at the sport. The Farsi and Arabic speaker was picked up by Man United at 12 years old in 1956 and brought right into their youth setup. It would be only 2 years later that the Munich air disaster would claim the lives of the bright young generation of Man United. With 7 first-team players perishing in the crash, Man United would be forced to relinquish its hold on the English game, which it held dominantly. Yo, if you want to learn a little bit about the Munich air disaster, check out our first video on the channel. It was an absolute banger. We were out in Munich, but right now, let's get back to business. With Sir Matt Busby at the helm, touted as the best youth scouting setup in the nation, Man United would have to recreate the second generation of Busby babes. Dennis would leave school at 15 to become a professional footballer in November of 1961, working alongside the likes of Nobby Stiles, David Hurd, and Bobby Charlton. With the introduction of Dennis to the squad, he would be the first black man to ever play for Manchester United in its history at the time. He'd be known as United's first and only black Busby babe. Dennis would find himself with an opportunity to play in the 1962 and 1963 season. As Sir Matt Busby was eager to rest his first team players, he picked Dennis in the starting lineup against Nottingham Forest for the final game of United's season. Unfortunately, this would be Dennis's only appearance for the Red Devils in a 3-2 loss to Forest, due to the fact that he had so much talent that he had to go up against, like Bobby Charlton and George Best, constantly keeping him out of the team. He would leave United as the FA Cup winner, and in April of '64, he was released before joining York City, who were notoriously in the 3rd division at the time. He would become a bit of a journeyman at that time, staying at York until 1968, making 154 appearances and scoring for them 19 times. He would find his most success at Cambridge United. Starting in 1968, he was 23 years old and drove the team to the Southern League Championship and the Southern League Cup in his first season. He'd have a decent run in the team until 1972, where he scored 23 goals and 202 appearances before being transferred to Poole. After Poole's Town's relegation in 1973, he would be appointed a player manager, which he would stay until 1975, and was offered a coaching role in South Africa, which he accepted. However, the coaching role would not be successful, and Dennis would return back to the UK working for a clothing company, Grand Moda, in Bournemouth. In the late 1970s, Dennis would return back up north and find himself working in Manchester as an operation manager at the Arndale Shopping Centre. And this is where the second part of his story begins. While working on Saturday, 15 June 1996, Dennis Walker was phoned in from the Arndale Centre, which was packed with about 75 or 80,000 people. He had just been informed that there was a bomb on Corporation Street outside of Marks and Spencer, and that bomb would detonate in 90 minutes. The Irish Republican Army, also known as the IRA, made the call at 9:40 a.m. to Granada Studios, warning that the bomb would detonate in 90 minutes. Dennis would spring into action in a concerted effort with his security team and shepherd the patrons out into the street into safety. Dennis would leave no stone unturned, looking for every patron and getting them out safely as he could. And just as he was exiting the Arndale, the force of the blast would hurl him into the window of a Debenhams on the other side of the road. Thankfully, he would survive the blast unharmed, but the sheer destruction of the bomb would be astronomical.
10 years ago, on a late Saturday morning, hundreds of shoppers had been enjoying the sunshine when a massive car bomb detonated.
This explosion caused £700 million of damage, and at the time, England had been hosting the Euro 96 tournament, where Russia versus Germany was set to take place in Manchester the next day. This would be the biggest bomb blast in Britain since the Second World War at the time. The sheer destruction of the blast would, however, not result in any fatalities, about 200 or so odd injuries, but no one dead. Thanks to the due diligence of people like Dennis, the police, and all the security teams, the people of Manchester would be alive to pick up the pieces and start again. Dennis was a true hero, not because he was the first black man to play for United despite the racial scrutiny of the time, but because he cared enough to get people out of harm's way when he was called upon. That's a true hero. He was a pioneer in the game for United, being the first black player to appear, opening the door for guys like Remy Moses would be the first black player to score for United, or even Tony Whelan, who before this was regarded as the first black player to play for Man United. Dennis Allen Walker would die 7 years after the blast at age 58 in Stockport, England, after suffering a stroke which paralyzed him on the right side of his body. At the beginning of the video, we started off by asking what a hero was, and what was the definition of a hero to you. And I think we did a pretty good job of nailing down one hero in United history. Thanks for watching.